Big Ten Backers Podcast. This is your podcast for Big Ten football or anything college football related. From Jim Harbaugh's shirtless escapades to Brett Bielema's hog-sized waistline with Ryan Day's beard dye and anything else in between. Big Ten Backers has the headlines from around the college football landscape.
Oh, hey there, Big Ten Backers. This is your host, AJ, with Buckeye Steve. We just call him Da Beve.
So, Beve, week 0 just ended. Let's take a look at these two games, Notre Dame and USC in particular, and let's rate these guys. Are they B's or double D's? And what we mean by that, are they a playoff contender? Are they a little bitty nobody? So yeah, Sam Hartman looking like TD Jesus. He's out there saving Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame.
Resurrected him.
Yes, touchdown Jesus bringing the resurrection to Marcus Freeman. And he was distributing the ball like he was a card shark in Vegas, man. He was just out there shuffling.
Hell yeah, man. He was 19 of 23 for 251 yards at 4 TD. Damn.
Yeah, that's a good day. And he'd only played for so long. It's not like he was out there the whole time either. So, but yeah, Sam Hartman, he's in year 6. There's no wonder why he tied the opening record for a quarterback at Notre Dame in his first game.
Yeah, and listen to this. He passed Aaron Murray with 13,166 yards, most passing yards in a career. He also, during this game, passed Colt McCoy for the most touchdown passes in a career at 112. Then proceeded to pass Derek Carr for the most touchdown passes in a career at 113. And tied Danny Werfel with 114 career touchdown passes. So that's pretty damn good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around a while. He should be pretty good. He's been working on it for 6 years. I'm pretty sure he was Joe Montana's backup there at Notre Dame.
Yeah, he was another one of our guys that was at the Last Supper.
Yeah, he was right there with Sean Clifford helping serve.
But, I mean, yeah, 6 years, you should be passing everyone. You got an extra 2 years on them all. Maybe 1 if someone was able to get that 5th year of eligibility for an injury or something, but I don't think any of those guys did.
Yeah, and there's no reason for him not to be an artist at his game when he's been at it for 6 years. And then you're talking about comparing him to somebody who's probably freshman or a sophomore when they threw those 4 touchdowns at Notre Dame. So a little unfair comparison.
Yeah, and I digress a little bit. We digress a little bit, I should say. He's a hell of a player. He was playing good. Notre Dame did what they were supposed to do. They waxed a team that sucked. And that's exactly what we talked about with what we wanted to see from USC. But Notre Dame did it, you know?
They were on fire. They came out strong. They came out hard. They were rocking.
Looked good doing it. I mean, you want to be pretty against a terrible team, and they were.
How about them wide receivers? There was some slack that Notre Dame got in the offseason about not having as good as receivers as they should have. But yeah, break down some of the receivers for us.
Yeah, man, that was kind of the weak link, what everyone was thinking. But they brought in this freshman, Jaden Greathouse, who had 2 TDs. He was a recruit out of Austin, Texas. He had 3 receptions for 68 yards. But the cool thing about this is 66% of his college passes ever received, 66% of the receptions he's ever had in college have been touchdowns. If he can keep repeating that and duplicate that, man, he's going to be on everyone's list for Heisman.
Yeah, but that ain't going to happen because not every team on their schedule is AV.
No, they're not going to have teams that have 0 NFL talent. You're absolutely correct.
But yeah, that offensive line, man, they were absolutely dominant. They played like a chastity belt, man. There was no penetration getting through there. Sam Hartman
Hell yeah.
was well protected.
Yeah, man, and they opened up holes like Ron Jeremy.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. You talking some holes there.
Oh, man. But you know what? There was one thing that we got to talk about. That Notre Dame secondary was as questionable as the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
It's about as questionable as it gets right there. You can't believe anything.
I don't know what was coming out of their bats. They're eating bats. I don't know what they're doing over there, releasing viruses on purpose. But that secondary, man, they were suspect all game. And as you could kind of tell, there were people running around wide open that Navy running that triple option offense was just running it. They didn't have the quarterback that could put the ball in the air. I mean, he was never getting it to the open receivers. They really didn't. They couldn't get it to the receivers. There was people running around wide open.
Yeah, I mean, the wide receivers definitely got behind the safeties in the corners on a few plays, but the ball was so hilariously underthrown, it didn't matter. Yeah, we'll see. But maybe that was in the game plan and not to worry about the wide receiver so much since they run a triple option, and maybe that was the defensive play by Notre Dame. But yeah, we'll digress from there. Obviously, they look good, so it's kind of hard for us to nitpick. But that was the one little nitpick we had.
Yeah, and maybe it's the scheme. You're right. It could be that, they're just bringing everyone up. They're stacking the box and waiting for those holes to open up so they can bring an extra linebacker in, bring the safeties up. Because, Navy's not going to throw the ball often. And they were just prepared for that. And they knew the quarterback wasn't going to get it there. So maybe it's more props to their defensive coordinator. And Freeman has the defensive background as being the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame and at Cincinnati when they were awesome. So there's that.
All right, so Beve, is Notre Dame a B or are they rocking them double Ds?
Hey, man, I got to give them a C cup. I got to go in between. They're not quite ready for those double Ds, man. The tits ain't hanging down. They're like in place, but still have the bra on because they're not that sexy yet. So I give them the C cup because they were looking good. They filled what they needed to with a quarterback that could get the ball down the field and actually complete some passes. The receivers looked better than I thought. The defense still looked great, possibly questionable secondary. So we'll see. If they get that secondary looking good against a good passing team, I think they'll have that around the corner in NC State. Then, watch out, Buckeyes. Those C's become double D's.
Yeah, that game definitely looks a little bit more interesting if they can keep this energy going. Yeah, since we talked about Notre Dame, let's go cross country. Let's take a look at their rival. Let's talk about this USC game.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All I got to know is, does anybody actually have the Pac-12 network? I mean, could you find this game on TV? You couldn't find that with your granny's glasses, man.
Hey, can we get the login from one of our listeners? Hey, man, don't worry. It's not going to get you banned or anything. The Pac-Done won't be around any longer after this year. So don't even worry about it. Just send it to us.
Yeah,
we need to watch these games, man. We need to watch these West Coast games. We need to see what's going to be in the Big Ten next year, too.
I tell you what, man, let's get on that defense. That defense looked as bad as Christopher Walken after a 3-day bender, man. It was trash.
Garbage, Christopher Walken, man. Where did you pull that from? Where did that reference come from?
I was watching Joe Dirt earlier. He's talking about showing to stab somebody in the eye with a soldering iron. Then yeah, man, and maybe some cowbell. Maybe some cowbell too. A little Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah, speaking of cowbell, I got you.
I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
More cowbell, baby. Christopher Walken. It's a hell of an ugly person reference.
So Nick Nash for San Jose State had 6 receptions, 89 yards, and 3 TDs. That was good enough for 14.8 yards a catch.
Yeah, man. Nick Nash, paddywhack, give that man a helmet sticker. Woo! San Jose State averaging 7.3 yards per carry also. Man, gashed up that defense, man.
Yeah, it was bad. Like you're talking about 4.8 yards a catch to one wide receiver. So that's telling you maybe there's a corner or safety that ain't jiving yet. And then also giving up 7.3 yards per carry on the ground. That's scary, man. Some scary stats.
Yeah, dude. And San Jose State wasn't a terrible team last year. I mean, they finished like 8-5. So they're not a bad team by any means. They're not Navy, but I was looking for a lot more out of that defense. And we talked about it before. I was wanting to see them not score a point. I didn't want to see San Jose State have a point in the first half or 3 quarters to show me that they fixed what they had. They fixed the holes on that defense. So I can't say that they did. I'm a little weary of what they're going to produce. It's very Lincoln Riley-esque to have a game like that.
Yeah, I don't even blame Lincoln Riley. This is all on the Grinch, man. And this Grinch, he's about to steal another Christmas from Lincoln Riley and Cam Williams. He's about to rob them of every kind of playoff national championship hopes. He's their Achilles heel, man.
It's a damn shame.
And San Jose State was down 7 points at half. So it was 21-14. And then they did score again in the third quarter. So they got 21 of their 28 points in meaningful time. It wasn't like there was garbage stuff being thrown up on the scoreboard in the fourth quarter.
No, I agree. It was not a good performance at all. Luckily for USC, the first half of their schedule is really soft. Now they have a really, really hard stretch at the end. And I don't know if they'll survive the end with their defense playing like this, but at least they have some time to kind of get it right, get the wrinkles ironed out and look fresh by the time they get into week 6.
Yeah, but what we got to look at now is that offense, baby. It's still there. It's very Lincoln Riley-esque. It's awesome. Cammy Williams put out his typical Heisman stats and highlights, man. It was all over the place. There was that amazing fumble that he took off the snap. I think there was a quarterback running back exchange problem, picked it up and fires it down. for a touchdown, man. It was fucking sweet. You got to go check out that highlight if you haven't already. We have it posted on NIL Fan Vote, so check it out on our Facebook.
Yeah, we call him Cammy Williams because he drops more dollars on fingernail polish than our wives combined.
Yeah, I think he drops more than all of my female relatives that I know combined.
Hey, when you're styling and profiling, do you?
Yeah, I mean, he gets it. He can do what he wants, man. He's the Heisman, and maybe he'll win it again with the performance he's having so far. One game, but it looks like it's going to be the same thing, man. His stat line was ridiculous. 72% completion rate, 278 yards, and another quarterback with 4 touchdowns.
He lit it up like a crack pipe on 3rd and 7th, man. Watch out on Skid Row.
But what about this freshman wide receiver, Zachariah Branch? Should have been at Ohio State. Heartline wanted him bad, man. He was really recruiting him hard. And anyone that Heartline's going after is going to be a dog.
Yeah, man. He's got cheetah speed. He's got moves you only see in Top Gun. He's getting a girl and taking her to the dance. Do we have a future star here?
I had a conversation with a couple people on NIL Fan Vote and the groups that we join and talked a little bit about college football. And he was like, man, he would have been tackled at the 15-yard line against a Power 5 team. And I was like, yeah, pump the brakes a little bit. It would have been a good return no matter what, but I don't think he would have taken it to the house. But he's going to have those opportunities with the speed he's got to take it to the house, even against a Power 5 program.
Yeah, he's definitely shifty, man, and he's fast, and he's fast in a phone booth. Dangerous combination. I'm ready to see what this guy grows into the next couple years. Does Grinch turn this double D offense into a B cup? Is he the reason why USC is a B and not a double D?
It's a B for now. Yes, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. Grinch is holding them back. Those 6 transfers that were 4 stars in the transfer portal didn't show us anything. I mean, at least with the numbers that were put up against them. So they haven't really changed a whole lot. There was a lot of hope for that defense. There was a lot of hope from me for the defense, but it didn't produce, man. And if it doesn't produce against San Jose State, what happens when they get into Arkansas? What happens if they have the Penix from Washington? What happens if they have Bo Nix from Oregon? They're going to be lighting them up, man. That stat line and those quarterbacks are lighting it up. Cam Rising, light it up. DJ Uiagalelei, going to be lighting it up.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show out in the Pac-12, man. I'm just so excited for the quarterback play out there.
And what I'm worried about is they're all going to cannibalize each other and no one's going to make the playoffs.
No, I could definitely see that. There's so much good quarterback play out there that they could definitely all come out with 2-3 losses apiece just because of anybody's ability to beat the other person.
It's the Donner Party and the Pac done.
Just out there chewing on each other. Zombie special.
Feels my craving.
Well, hey, let's get the ball trimmer out. Let's groom the landscape of college football that happened over this past weekend.
Speaking of cutting the meat, we're going to groom the landscape.
So Ohio and San Diego State, things didn't go so well for the Bobcats and this Maction in the Mountain West. The Ohio QB and MAC Player of the Year goes down with an injury. He went down like a fat kid on a seesaw. And that kind of upended Ohio's ability to play that game.
They were looking strong until he went down. And the same thing happened last year. I mean, they made the MAC championship game. He was already injured in the 11th game of the season. And then they lost in the MAC championship game. If he was there, they would have won. And if he was there this game, they probably, I think they would have won. He was a difference maker. And when he goes down and then their quarterback comes in, CJ Harris, a backup, throws 3 interceptions. I mean, 3 interceptions is almost a guaranteed loss. He did it against the former Michigan Freddie Flintstone himself, Brady Hoke, and they got the win. The Aztecs got it.
He finally beat an Ohio team, huh?
He finally beat that Ohio team. He's talking shit. Finally did it.
It took him forever, but he finally did it. I'm proud of. Maybe we should get him a vitamin.
Get him some shoes. That man needs some shoes. Fred Flintstone's been fucking getting the calluses all over his feet.
All right, so Vandy, they were in a close game with the Hawaii Warriors. Not a whole lot to talk about.
Shadon McGowan, 97-yard kick return that was electric. That's making me think, man, that dude's hitting a portal next year. Transfer portal person all the way. McGowan is McGowan 97 yards, but he's McGowan somewhere else.
Did you catch that Ricky Wright interception?
AJ, tell me about that interception.
Oh, man, it kind of looked like he was beat, but then the pass kind of got thrown behind him and he was able to turn his body, spin, and get 1 foot down. Great highlight. Go to NIL Fan Vote. Go on their Facebook page. Go on their Instagram page. Check them out on X. Watch all these highlights. Freaking beautiful catch by corner.
Oh, man. I'm pumped for the season, man. This was awesome. This was a good lead-in. like we said before, it needs some better games, better matchups, but it was fun to see some football and some big time teams that we really had some question marks about. It was good to see them.
Yep, it was. And another former Michigan man, old Rich Rodriguez, he took over coaching at Jacksonville State, and they got their first FBS win. So they just moved over to the FBS, and they won their first game.
Jacksonville State moves up a level and blows the doors off of that team, man. They just rocked.
Yeah, it was a tight fought game. They got that interception at the end to seal it. It was good for them. Good for Rich Rod. I've seen all these former Michigan men, kind of doing their thing after they get fired from there. It's kind of weird.
Oh yeah, Jacksonville State blows the doors off of UTEP, man. That was, they step up a level and then they just blow them out. You got to feel good if you're on that team. You got to feel good if you're the coach. You got to feel good if you're a player. They're taking it to the next level, man, and they did their job. They did it well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Another crazy game, stats-wise, was Louisiana Tech and Florida International. And it was an awkward score because the Bulldogs had 450 total yards compared to the Panthers 182, but they only won by 5 points. You look at the stats, man, you just think like this game was ugly. Despite that, this was a competitive game.
Yeah, if you have that lopsided of a total yards, it means you're either turning the ball over one or you're just getting 3 and outs, but going all the way down the field to do it.
Yeah, definitely kind of crazy. Super pumped though. Week 0 is in the books. We're moving on to week 1, the real week of true college football, where you got all kinds of games. You got so many games you can't even watch them all. You're going to have to be laying up on the couch, eating Doritos with some cheese dip on Sunday just to get caught up and stay up to date on everything happening.
I'm interested in watching the Pac Dun Network. Someone's got to give us that shit so we can watch these games.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have to find somebody. Maybe we can get the Pac Dun. We can get the Pac Dun to sponsor us. I heard they have all kinds of money.
Hey, you got to be looking out at our social media because we're going to be rolling to some of these tailgates. We're starting off in Minnesota, watching that Minnesota Golden Gophers versus Nebraska Cornhuskers. It's going to be the real deal, man. We'll have some highlights, some quotes from the fans, some competitions of the fans, going to the tailgates. It's going to be awesome. We'll be at the game. We're going to be, you'll see what we're going to be when you see us on TV.
Hey, all I know is if you see us on TV, tag us. Tag NIL Fan Vote. Tag our sponsor.
Yeah.
At Facebook, at Instagram, at X. Let them know you see us out there because they're our sponsor. We got to take care of them. They take care of us. But I'm definitely excited about this road trip. AJ and Beve on the interstate heading to a tailgate near you. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Hell yeah, baby. It's football season and we back.
Oh, we back.
I don't know about we back, but they back.
So NILfanvote.com. You got to go check them out right now. They're an awesome company. They're going to be taking us to Minnesota for the Minnesota-Nebraska game.
So yeah, they take donations from the average college football fan. You can vote for your favorite college football player. Those donations go to your favorite college football player. And then they rack and stack them and show you what the top NIL collector.
Yeah, it's called the leaderboard. It's really cool. It's a great concept. So you can see where your player, your conference, your team stack up. It's something you got to go check it out. Go vote now. NILfanvote.com.
Don't forget about their social media. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter.
Check it out, NILfanvote.com.
So, Matt does Vegas. He's going to bring in the bets. Let's hear what you got, Matt.
Thank you all. Always like to start off these gambling sessions purely for entertainment purposes only, so please gamble responsibly wherever you're at.
Let's move on to some of this Big Ten action. Let's see what the over-under for the season is.
Yeah, we've kind of parsed through here and found some very interesting over-unders. And these are, again, over-under win totals for the season. So when we're talking these numbers, basically looking at teams, you're really going to see a hook for the most part with every single one of these. And again, that hook is going to be that 0.5, talking about the over-under. Let's kind of dive right in, and we're going to dissect a little bit of their schedules to see. Also, too, this does not include conference championship games. This is a 12-game season across the board for everyone. And with that, we're going to dive right in.
Can we start with Maryland? I really want to know what's up with Maryland.
They are intriguing. And again, you kind of look at a lot of factors, especially when we're talking Big Ten here. And this is going to be the last year we're going to be talking divisions, as next year divisions are going away. But first thing you look at, Big Ten East, we all know the three-headed monster that sits there. You've got Michigan, you've got Ohio State, you've got Penn State. Maryland, you played Ohio State pretty well last year, but let's just go for it. You got 3 losses right there. Over-under on the year is sitting at 7.5. So if we're looking at this again, we're seeing those 3 losses from the Power 3 in the Big Ten East. You got 7.5. best you're saying is 9-2. You start parsing out the schedule a little bit. Extremely weak non-conference schedule. Starting at Townsend, don't even know where that is. You got Charlotte. You got Virginia, which for perspective, everyone hears Virginia. Virginia over under on the year is at 3.5. That should tell you everything you need to know. They do travel to East Lansing.
So, but I got Maryland. I think Maryland's going to be strong. I would play that.
I like the over as well too. If you're looking for that whole season, I think they're improving as next one, let's take a look at Michigan State. And again, we're trying to find some intriguing ones here. You're looking at Michigan State right now. They are at over under 5.5. I want to pass it on over to you guys. That is basically Vegas saying they are going to lose 7 games. What are your thoughts on that?
Next, that's about right. They suck.
With Mel Tucker, that is very possible.
The $10 million man is winning 5.5 games.
The only one beating Vegas is Mel.
Mel can ride off in the sunset. He doesn't even have to give a shit anymore. He collected his check. He's gonna be like Coach O. Time to retire. Yeah, buy me out. I don't care.
They might have to over there because that's a pretty tough schedule. I got to go with the group there. If I'm looking at something, I think they, that week 3 against the University of Washington, I do think UW's going to go in there and win, and I think that could be a snowball effect on the season. So definitely leaning with the group there on the under there. Moving on, this is where life gets really intriguing in the Big Ten as we go to the vaunted Big Ten West. You want to hear Northwestern?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Northwest. It's already a dumpster fire. I mean, it started off the season in turmoil. They lost their coach. They're putting freshmen through car washes with the offensive line. It's disgusting. Everything about Northwestern is disgusting, including the over-under.
Which is set at 3.5. So given what you just heard, 3.5, that means are you squeaking out 4 wins this year? What do y'all think?
Absolutely not. That thing's going down.
No, they
the
might
drain.
get 1. They were 1-11 last year. If I remember correctly, they lost by an average of 14 points every game. So,
last year.
I mean, that's 2 scores. They really weren't that close. The only team that was worse was Colorado, and they averaged 23 points in a loss. And it might have even been more than that. 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I think it was a little bit more than 23 points they averaged per loss.
Vegas agrees with you with that number, so I understand. Moving on, we got another team in Minnesota. Minnesota, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this team next as well. But Minnesota and Nebraska, let's kind of just do a tandem, mostly because they start out week 1 against each other. That game is in Nebraska. They are both Nebraska, Minnesota at 6.5. Not a lot of eye-popping stuff when you look at their schedules. Minnesota does travel to North Carolina. They do travel to Columbus in late November, and they got Michigan in the Big House. So they got a tough slate of those Big Ten East games over. What are your thoughts on Minnesota 6.5?
Oh, man, this is going to be really tough. They're definitely going to come out looking like a Juicy Lucy. Greasy, beat up, and done.
So it sounds like an under to me.
Onion, Juicy Lucy. I think I had a girlfriend nicknamed that.
Well, that kind of segues perfectly to Nebraska. Again, you're talking about week 1 matchup, Minnesota, Nebraska. Somebody's got to win that game. At least that's what they tell me. There's no more ties in college football. So that could change. Vegas is really telling us we don't really know who's going to win that week 1 matchup. Colorado, it is in Boulder. That is the home opener for Dion, primetime in Boulder, Colorado. Those kids are going to be really hyped up there. So a couple of tough ones to start. They do have Michigan at home. They do travel to Wisconsin, Camp Randall. They got Iowa to finish it out. What are your thoughts on Nebraska?
I'm drinking the Rule-Aid. Give me the Rule-Aid. I'm probably going to die on a spaceship, or at least that's what they tell me in this cult, but I'm on the Rule-Aid.
I'm going to swallow it down with you, man. I'll take that to the throat. I'll go. They were in all of their games. Every single game. They lost 5 games by 1 score. Now they got a new coach. He's already showed them the film of every single one of those games where they lost by 1 score. Showed them, specific plays. This play could have changed the outcome of that game. This play could have changed the outcome of this game. Give them at least 3 more of those games.
I mean, that goes the same way with any girl I've tried to pick up. Is if she would have just said yes, I could have scored, but it didn't happen. So
it's all about how the ball bounces.
It's a numbers game.
And I prefer them to bounce off our cheeks, but, it is what it is.
Looking at that, kind of moving on, let's go to the third best team in the Big Ten East, the Penn State Nittany Lions, 9.5. We all know where 2 of their losses are going to come from. Looking at this schedule, really their only non-conference game is starting week 1 at home against West Virginia. Take for that for what it's worth. They got Delaware and UMass. They're not even we're not even going to recognize those 2 games. That's a valid point.
Another dumpster fire.
That is a valid point.
Penn State's got those wins, but the perennial third place in the Big Ten East is stay in third place in the Big Ten East. I like where they're at. I wouldn't say that because they could stumble against another team. Who do they have for crossovers? Big Ten West.
Illinois.
Yeah, they could lose that.
That's Northwestern and Iowa. Comes to Happy Valley. Big difference. Big difference.
But Michigan comes to Happy Valley, right? So they're going to use that as the whiteout game.
Yep. They have to travel to Columbus, and then you're right. That is a November 11th game. That it looks like a 9 a.m. kickoff, or it'd be noon for all you East Coasters out there. 9 a.m. for us on the Pacific Coast. But
we should do an over and under on how many whiteout wins Penn State can actually manufacture in the next 5 years, because I'm going to guess 0.
Well, when you keep doing your whiteout games against Ohio State, that's what happens.
It's going to be against Michigan this year. Iowa can pull that out without it being a whiteout game. Take that home crowd out of it a little bit.
My pullout game is not strong.
Iowa might be able to even throw the ball this year.
Well, let's not get crazy now. Come on.
Their offense might score some points.
You lying about Brian.
Let's wrap it.
All right. 8.5 for Wisconsin. You're looking at a very soft non-conference schedule. Buffalo, you are traveling to Pullman to face the Washington State Cougars. That is your biggest non-conference game. Georgia Southern, they have an over-under at 6.5 right now. I'm not seeing a lot there. Again, Big Ten West, you do have that crossover. You got Ohio State, but you got Indiana as well. So it kind of balances out a little bit there. What are your thoughts? 8.5?
That's about right. I wouldn't touch that. I could see it going 9. I could see it going 8. I could see them either way. I'd stay away from that.
Next, we're going to talk about 2 of the newcomers to the Big Ten. First, we're going to start out with UCLA. Now, one of the things, again, when I'm always looking at over-unders, I like that quarterback. I like that stability. UCLA lost their veteran in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So now they're starting with a new quarterback under Chip Kelly's system. Surprisingly, though, Vegas has them at 8.5. Non-conference, very soft with Coastal Carolina, San Diego State, NC Central. What you're seeing here is obviously you have that crosstown rivalry game with USC. That is at the Coliseum. They do travel to Utah and play in Salt Lake City. A tough game. They got Oregon State as well. But other than that,
it's a Saturday night whiskey dick, huh?
That's how I'm looking at it, though. So I see that. If you're really breaking this down, I see 3 probable losses there. I think Vegas has this one on the head. But if you're looking for some sneaky fun, maybe try the over.
Next, I'm out.
And then finally finishing up with University of Washington. As much guff have I given them over the years for a weak schedule, that is absolutely not the case this year for the Huskies. Vegas has them at 9.5, which means they are bullish on these Huskies, but they start out at home, Boise State. Boise State, I've kind of seen in rankings maybe eclipsing that top 25, kind of more in the 30 range. So not a pushover like they've been. They do travel to East Lansing. Again, we've discussed what we think of the Spartans, so that probably is a W. But going down the stretch, they have games in November against USC, Utah, Oregon State, not to mention a mid-October date with Oregon. That game is at home. A lot of stumbling blocks there. And for Vegas to tell me they think they're only going to lose 2 of those, I don't know.
I can wonder with that.
I'm taking the over. I think Washington is going to be my surprise team, so I'm taking the over. If I'm going to say they're my team to win the Pac-12, then I got to take them. Got all the faith.
Sounds good to me.
What do we got for Oregon?
Oregon, in terms of over-under on the year, they're at 9.5 as well, too. And that's where if you really start breaking these down, you've got USC at 9.5, you've got Washington at 9.5. Is this really Vegas hedging their bets across 3 or 4 really good teams, or do we think we're going to see each other beating up each other?
That's what I think. I don't touch the Big 12, and I don't touch the Pac-12. Neither of them. They're all going to cannibalize each other. The Big 12.
A lot of good teams out here. We're going to see if any of them can get through this gauntlet unblemished. But no, I don't know if you have a great team out here on the West.
I like the looks of I like the looks of Purdue. The over-under over there at 5.5.
Yeah, Purdue's a little interesting. Obviously, they got a new quarterback in there as well.
New
Fresno
coach.
State. Yeah, new coach. They start out against Fresno State, 8.5 over/under on Fresno State. So Vegas sees something there. They do go to Blacksburg, Virginia Tech. This is not your Frank Beamer's Virginia Tech. They are at a 3.5 over and under, telling me that it is a rebuilding decade there in Blacksburg. Then they have Syracuse. So some decent names on that non-conference schedule. No FCS schools in there. But you do have Wisconsin, you do have Iowa, you do have Ohio State, and you do have Michigan.
Oh, man, they got a terrible schedule. Terrible draw.
That's 5.5.
5.5. Ooh, that's hard to pick.
They finished on a stretch: Minnesota, Northwestern, Indiana. After Ohio State, they go Nebraska and then at Michigan. So, this could be, if this is one of those young teams that's building, getting some confidence, you go to Nebraska and win. Obviously, Michigan's going to take care of business. But if you can win 4 or 5 down the stretch, that throws this 5.5 number a little sideways.
Wow, I'd stay away from that.
I like that. That's all the over-unders I have for you today, gentlemen.
Are you going to do Vegas, or is Vegas going to do you?
We'll let the win-loss totals speak for themselves at the end of the season.
Well, we appreciate it, Seattle Matt. Thanks for bringing in these Big Ten bets and bringing us Seattle Matt Does Vegas.
Absolutely. Always happy to help the team.
God bless. We out.
Big Ten Backers Podcast. Follow our sponsors at NIL Fanboat on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the Thread. Also visit the website nilfanboat.com. Oh, no Midwest goodbye today.